Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. Back tonight with some match week 9 predictions, and as you can tell, joined in the hot seat tonight by Ultan from Bully News. Yet another member of the Bully News family is joining us for his debut on the show. Very kind, Ultan, for you to join us fairly last minute and do some match week predictions. How are you doing? And welcome along to the show.
Doing great, yeah. As I was saying to you beforehand, it's my YouTube bow, so here's to a long career behind the screen, in front of the screen too. Not something I'm too used to, but doing fine, doing great, and great to be here. Thanks for having me on, and I have to thank Peter too, because he vacated his spot and allowed me this kind of slot, so I have to tip the hat to him too.
Top man. Yeah, so very happy to get stuck into things this evening ahead of match week 9. It's been a very busy week in general because we've had DFB Pokal action. We can kind of reflect, and I'm sure that will come into our thinking with some of the predictions that that we'll offer up tonight. Obviously, before we do, all the usual little bits and bobs of admin. So if you can leave a thumbs up on this video, always helps us in terms of algorithms, etc. So you wouldn't believe how much a little click really helps us out. Comment along to say hello. Obviously, Justin checking in this morning for you, Justin. So thanks so much for joining in. Make sure you all get involved and have your say on predictions. And of course, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And of course, one big shout out to one of our partners, which is Bundesliga boxes. Their Christmas boxes are now on sale. So make sure you treat yourself. I know it's, we're not quite into November, but it'll be Christmas before you know it. So make sure you snap up one of those boxes in time for the Xmas holidays. Right then, let's get stuck into it. And as you're our debutante this evening, Ultan, you can take point on many of these games. I always like to shirk responsibility when it comes to VfB Stuttgart, and that is where we're starting. Friday night football. The Friday games are usually pretty tasty as well, and this one promises a lot. So over to you, Ultan. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, it really doesn't get any better than this, does it? I mean, two teams that have gone hammers and tongs at it for the last 2 seasons practically. Very little to separate them anytime they played. Take the Super Cup, for example, at the start of the year. It was brought to penalties. Of course, there'll be no penalty shootout drama this time, but I think it'll be a really tight game. I'm really interested to see this, and I think Leverkusen don't look the same team they are last year. Of course, they're still fantastic, but they don't seem to have that same defensive solidity that they've had in times gone by. Like 2 goals conceded to Gladbach, 2 conceded to Kiel, 3 to Wolfsburg, 3 to Leipzig when the run ended. I think there's a chance there for Stuttgart to certainly fire the cat among the pigeons and see what can happen. On the other side of things, I mean, VfB are also very leaky, I would say. They haven't had too many clean sheets, I think 2 in all competitions so far. But yeah, you have to look at the Shabo red card, and I think that'll also play a huge part because, I mean, he's been simply fantastic since moving to Köln, and I think that could be a big factor, seeing as Zagadou was also missing. But aside from that, then on the positive, you have Bilal Toure, who's been on fire lately, a goal against Juve and a goal last weekend against Kiel. So I think it's go down to the wire. I'm just, and I hate to say it because I know you blood in the game here with your VfB, but I just think Leverkusen are going to sneak it 3-2. That's my good feeling. A home game, I just see them squeezing over the line as they do so often.
Okay, so yeah, Ultan, you're going to lock in 3-2. You're in line with what Justin's saying. So yeah, 3-2 Leverkusen, just enough for them to score the win. Although, I hope you're wrong. Balam, good morning / good evening. Balam saying can see Stuttgart grinding out an away win 1-0 as an example. That would be most enjoyable. We shall see. For my 5 pence, I think it will be tight, as you would have seen on socials. I'm tentatively predicting another 2-2 game involving Leverkusen, but again, as Ultan, you are our guest this evening. We'll lock in your score. Right, let's move on to Saturday afternoon then. And yeah, some interesting games, none less so than firing Bayern München, taking on overachieving or certainly overperforming, certainly at this point so far, FC Union Berlin. Certainly very tight at the back, Union, and they'll need to be Ultan to get past or at least survive the natural onslaught of Bayern at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern are just, they look back to their brilliant best, really, and I think a lot of people won't like to say that, but it's hard to deny it. I mean, I don't know if anyone caught the Pokal last night, but they just looked absolutely incredible against Mainz again. Blew Bochum away last weekend. It's very hard to see anything other than a comprehensive Bayern win in my eyes. I think you have to go back to April. I briefly looked at the games they played before, the head-to-head stats, and I think you have to go back to April 2021. It's the last time Union scored against Bayern in the Allianz Arena. So I think that alone is a challenge in itself. But if you're taking the positives, the likes of Diogo Leite, Tom Roth, another former BVB man, and Benedikt Hollerbach, they have been in great form as of late. And Leite, I think, is, I know it's early days yet, but he looks nailed on to be one of the best centre halves of the year. Just an absolute magnet to the ball. Pretty good with his feet too, and seems to just get that dual one every time and get the ball out and moving on. So I think they'd be the three people you'd hope would have a good game from an Eisen perspective, if they are to come away with anything. But I don't know. I just think Bayern they're just looking fantastic. The European form mightn't be great. They've had a few slip-ups there, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think in domestic action they've looked flawless, to say the least.
Well, what are you locking in then?
I'm going with 4-0 Bayern Munich. I don't have any hope here, unfortunately. I think Union have been fantastic so far, but I just struggle to see them getting a goal, and I think Bayern just look on a roll.
Yeah, hard to see past that. I put down 3-1 earlier on. Yeah, but still hard to look past them domestically right now. Completely agree. Within the realms of this country, the teams that they're playing aren't matching up to standards. But yeah, so far in Europe, they're well, I say they're more so. The head coach company is still learning, isn't he? And I think we'll see that along the way, which will still open it up domestically as well. I think there'll still be mistakes that they make going forwards. Just in saying, yeah, 4-1, hard to see past anything but a Bayern home win at the moment. Okay, moving on to another side that is very much flying. And, well, Ultan, I mean, even with 10 men, they were still strong enough to come through in the Pokal really early doors, red card for Tiat. But still, strong enough to see off Gladbach. They're at home to, well, we say it all the time so far this season, beleaguered Bochum. What can Bochum hope to do to try and secure that first win?
I think very little, if I'm brutally honest. It's tough to see past Frankfurt at the moment. One of these teams that have just seemed to gather a head of steam in the last few years, and despite losing so many top players, particularly strikers, they always seem to find someone. They always seem to find a way to keep battling away. And actually, I think they're an outside shout for Champions League spot this year. I've predicted the table at the start of the year, and I put them in at fourth. They might even finish a bit higher than that too, potentially. But I really like the look of them. They look like they might have kind of tempered out a bit up front. I think the goals are slightly drying up, but the defence has been pretty good despite the red cards. Obviously, Piet got the red card last night, the Belgian centre half, come left back. It's the same last weekend, so he'll be missing. But I think Aurel Amina is the man to come in and fill the gap there. So he should have enough cover, and they could switch to a 3-4-3 and have Knauf and Kunku on the wings potentially. So there's lots of room for versatility. Top Muller, and yeah, I don't know. I'm putting down a 2-0 win here, but the last three meetings have been 1-1 draws between these two teams, so I find that pretty interesting. As for Bochum, I think their problems aren't really going forward. It's kind of keeping the ball out of the net. 22 goals conceded in 8 games. I think that's a great look. Medic had a terrible mistake in the last game against Bayern. Seemed to turn onto his left and play the ball right into central midfield, which is not what you want to do when you have the likes of Kimmich, Musiala sweeping up the ball. So I don't know. Things like that would really not help me out. If I was a Bochum fan now, I would struggle. So I'm going 2-0 Frankfurt. And I think the rest that Marmoush got during the cup, even though he came on for half an hour and got the winner, I think that's massive. Like, they managed to rotate, and even with 10 men, as you mentioned, get over the line against Gladbach.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. I would probably stick another couple goals on. Unfortunately, I'd probably say four zip. Yeah, certainly agree that Bochum aren't as bad necessarily going forward, but then I've never really been a huge fan of Hoffman, and the players from a creativity point of view that they lost in the summer was just tragic for them. It really was. Right, so we'll move on then to a game on Saturday afternoon, which features TSG Hoffenheim, and they are at home to travelling FC St. Pauli. Obviously, both teams involved in fairly entertaining Pokal matches. Obviously, Pauli not having enough to see off Leipzig, and Hoffenheim just about having enough to see off Mark's FC Nuremberg. So yeah, again, Ultan, tricky one to call, but Hoffenheim very much a bit of a mess so far this season, particularly what is going on off the field. It's not really been much better on the field. Pauli, again, one of those teams, certainly struggling to score. I mean, they haven't scored at home yet in the Millentor, Stadion, which is so tragic as well. Really hope that they can get a couple goals on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a massive game, I think, for both teams, actually. Like, it's funny in a way. I think it looked like Pellegrino Matarazzo turned the corner with Hoffenheim there recently, but it seems like it's kind of petered away again. I mean, the Porto loss, I watched that game. I covered it with Bully News. It was pretty poor in league conditions in the Atlantic coast of Portugal. Not a great night, and pretty toothless again against Heidenheim last weekend. And I mean, it was a great game in the sense that both Kevin Muller, Heidenheim goalkeeper, and Baumann, who's been an absolute stalwart for them for years now, had two smashing games and goals for both teams. But I don't know. I struggle to see Hoffenheim doing well here. And I think St. Pauli, exception of the cup game against Leipzig and Mainz when they lost 3-0, I think they've done pretty well so far since they won up. Even players off the bench, like Banks, has been pretty impressive. They've really, like, I don't know, they have a great sense of camaraderie or teamwork. And I noticed that in the stats. Sometimes I like to poke onto the stats page of the Bundesliga now and again. And I noticed that 4 of the top 15 players for this covered in the Bundesliga are St. Pauli players. I think that's Irvine, Treu, Metz, and Val. So they're obviously really, really hard work. And I think if they can keep that up under blessing, it's really going to stand to them. And Hoffenheim, I don't know. Again, I think if they get any kind of result here, it's going to come through Kramaric or the kind of resurgent Marius Bülter. I think he's been brilliant the last while for them. Wasn't a great signing at the start, but he seems to kind of found his feet as of late, and definitely looks like a threat up top. Klozek hasn't really clicked yet so far, but again, he also presents a bit of a threat too. I'm not entirely sure if Kaderabic's back. I think he might be, but Gendry's also done well in his place too. So there's definitely a threat there, and there's a chance, but I don't know. I don't. I'm going to sit in the fence on this one. I've gone 1-1.
1-1's fair. Yeah, Justin saying 2-2, so we could get a couple of goals. Sitting on the fair. Okay, so you're both. Well, you're saying a draw. I will very hesitantly back the home side with absolutely no confidence, but I'll say 2-1. Yeah, anything like you say that is good about Hoffenheim going forward will be ultimately keenly linked to Kramaric, but yeah, again, without completely copying you there, Ultan, Bolter's found his feet because he's in the right position, isn't he, at the moment? He's not playing left back or left wing back. He's actually been employed in the right position so far, in the games that we've seen him being really effective. So, if he's in that sort of form, then can definitely see Hoffenheim creating chances. Okay, next Saturday afternoon game, probably another tricky one to call. So Wolfsburg and Augsburg. So obviously Wolfsburg be really pleased with their work the other night. Obviously, don't want to rub that too much in, Ultan. I'm sure we'll talk about your boys very soon. Against the travelling Augsburg side, who are, yes, the perennial poor travellers. Me and Mark often talk about this, that the Bavarian side are a very reliable home side, but as soon as they pack up their suitcases, they often forget their shooting boots and, well, just their boots in general, because they can never really seem to pick up anything on the road. So how do you see this one going?
Again, it's a really interesting game. Like, may not be a great one for the neutral. I think both teams kind of struggle to score goals, and you never really know what you're going to get. It's always a mixed bag from both teams, but I don't know. I think this goes it really presents an interesting opportunity for both teams, and again, pretty important points at stake here too. Don't let the flag deceive you in the back. I will be as impartial as I can, so I won't let the misery of a 117th minute goal to win the Pokal second round game against Wolfsburg deny me of any what would you say, bias or prejudice towards the Wolfa, but I think they were full value for it. And I think that's actually a huge game for them too. Really, it was a big game for both teams, but I think the fact that Wolfsburg won, and probably deservedly so in the end, that could be a massive, massive, massive lift for them going forward. And my only one concern from it will be playing 120 minutes, but I think they managed it pretty well. They got lots of subs on. The likes of Vint made a huge difference. Patriot of Ruin also on Bully News. So he looks to have kind of found his shooting boots again. I know he had a few chances in the last game in the league as well. I was really impressed by Konstantinos Kurelias, I think it is. Forgive me, any Greek fans who are watching. It's an incredibly hard name to pronounce. But I was blown away by his performance. And again, he'll probably relate to this, but a Mavropanos-like defender, just brilliant in the duel, very physical, very athletic, and he was really pumped up for the game against Dortmund. And I thought he was really impressive in centre half, kind of left centre half there. Wimmer was brilliant until Netch's kind of fairly nasty tackle, which probably should have seen red. And Demora has been quite impressive as well. The kind of nippy Algerian up top. He's biggest, but he certainly packs a lot of energy into those little feet and flies around the pitch alongside Thiago Tomas. So I think it's a really dangerous kind of attack, and it's all kind of brought together by Arnold in midfield. I mean, what better captain? He's been around for years now, and which, as I like to say, he was pretty nasty in the game a few nights ago, but that's what captains do. They put the boot in when they need to, and he got the job done for his team, so can't really complain there. As for Augsburg, yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to turn a corner now, and I think the reason is probably Alexis Claude Maurice. I think he's just, again, it's another player that brings back haunting memories of the previous weekend for me as a BVB fan. What can you say? He's been fantastic. I think it's his third goal now, or second goal at least. He's on fire. Came from Nice on a free. I think Arsenal were even interested in their past. So I think that shows the kind of type of player he is, that he's obviously attracted some attention. And the fact they've got him for free is massive. So I think he's going to kick on, and I'm backing another 1-1 draw here. I really think that's the Claude Maurice show at the moment.
Yeah.
And I fully expect them to get their first away point of the year.
Very good. Yeah, locking in 1-1. I can't see Augsburg getting more than a draw, so I'll settle on 1-1 as well. I think could be more of a tricky one for the neutrals, as you say, but yeah, absolutely be an interesting one. Claude Maurice has done excellent since he has come into the Augsburg side. Next up, if we're talking about big games, certainly feel that this is a rather large one for the home side, more so than traveling FC Heidenheim. Holstein Kiel are having one, aren't they, so far? Winless, obviously overall, in the league. Unfortunately, had a tricky evening in the Pokal. I think it's one thing that we predicted on the Monday show. There's that upset could be happening. Obviously, if you look at the size of the clubs, Holstein Kiel and FC Köln, historically, there's no matching them at all. Didn't seem that there was much matching them either on the pitch with the 3-0 win for the Billy Goats. But they must dust themselves down, Ultan, because they have to start moving, and they need to start moving quickly, because the joy and the optimism of that, that excellent 2-2 draw that they had and earned against Leverkusen is a wee bit in the rearview mirror now. So how do you see this one going?
Yeah, again, it's a nicely poised game, isn't it? But I agree with you. I think this is the time Husnik will have to kind of wake up, smell the daisies, and probably try and take the bull by the horns and really go after this result, because I think Heidenheim are there for the taking, which might come as a surprise. But I do think both teams are quite similar in the style of football they play. They're not interested in holding too much possession. They both like to play on the counter, and I think this really presents an opportunity for the home team in that scenario. Um, yeah, I don't know. Janfi Darb missing with a red card now is a big blow. But again, I just think this is the game they have to target. They have to try and get some sort of result, even a point. I think anything will go at this time, but I don't know. I don't think it'll be one of those games that go either way. It could be quite bland and stale and possibly 0-0, or could be see a few goals in it. But again, I think, I don't know, Frank Smith is just a mastermind at Heidenheim so far. And I think the hype was probably there at the start of the season when they roared out of the blocks in the first few games, and it kind of tempered out since they played BVB. But I don't know. I just think the spine of their team with Gimber, Schöpner, Banner, Skienza, I think they're fantastic footballers. Lots of ability, lots of creative elements to their game. And if a result is to go the way of the away team, definitely see those four players being involved. They've all started the season brilliantly. And even if players like Beck to come off the bench, who's been pretty good too. So could go either way. It's very hard to call this scoreline, but I've gone 2-2, another draw, but high scoring, few teams like to counter. I'm going for goals here again.
Goals again in Kiel. Okay, yeah, I can definitely get on board on that. I think, like you say, Kiel have to wake up soon, but yeah, no Arp, no Bernhardson, who's obviously one of the strikers who's got a handful of goals for them so far this season. No Holtby, I think as well, if he's missing. So a lot of the pressure will fall on the greatly named Shuto Machino to get a couple of goals for them. Like you say, Heidenheim, excellently managed so far, going great guns in the Conference League as well. So there's a lot to like about them. Yeah, I I want Kiel to win as a neutral, obviously of the game, and but I think Heidenheim might win. I think I'm saying 2-1 Heidenheim, and I think Justin's gone for a home win as well. So there you go. Right then, we've got a top spiel, and definitely a top spiel worthy of the slot on Saturday evening. I think as our viewers will definitely be able to see, Ultan, you are a BVB man, and we were talking off air about your fondness for them, and how you followed them for quite a while now. So yeah, I mean, over to you. Run us through it. We've talked about Dortmund an awful lot on the show, and it's a really interesting topic right now. So yeah, where do you stand with this game? Where do you stand with Sahin? All really interesting stuff.
Yeah, God. Cue the big sigh, as always, as the last few weeks have gone by. It's been tougher and tougher and tougher. And it kind of reminds you of the last season under Klopp, and things kind of went from bad to worse, as they say in Dublin here. But I don't know. I hate the idea of sacking managers. I don't agree with it in football. Dortmund have pressed the button a lot the last few years, and I think we're better out riding out the storm now at this stage. But it's not going to be easy, and the scoreline will reflect that ultimately in this prediction. But I don't know. I think you look at the two teams, and the game could easily be played in the hospital. You look at the injury list, incredible. Like Dula, Ryerson, Reina, Kuto, Adeyemi, Duranville, they're all out. Not a chance of them playing. There's new potential injuries. Demetria, I think he might have damaged his shoulder. Hopefully he's be okay to continue. Anton's a doubt, and even Coble too. It looked like a groin injury. He
Mm-hmm.
was pretty frustrated on the sideline after the Pokal exit, and it's not a great look. It's not too often you see a Dortmund team quite this fragmented. There's a lot of frustration on the pitch. Even at halftime in the Pokal, you can see Guirassy and Spohini kind of going at it on the pitch too. Just doesn't fill you with confidence as a fan. Sahin, he is inexperienced. I think it might be a bit too soon for him to take on such a big job, but there's no one else really out there. I don't really see how you can go hunting for managers when there's a very limited pool out there. Some people are saying Roger Schmidt. I don't know. I'm not too sure if there's a few other names going around. Maybe Glasner, PSG, or PSG rather. Crystal Palace were to get rid of him, but again, I think it's a very limited pool, and I think there's no point in doing that. Leipzig, on the other hand, they're without a few big names. As Justin, our kind of resident Leipzig fan on this channel, will know, Raum is a big absentee. I mean, fantastic set pieces, always a threat on that left side with the crosses. Simmons, of course, is just the talisman. Less said there, and Seiwald, who also started the season pretty well too. So, and Schlager, of course, goes without saying, but Seiwald, I think, was actually holding down that position in midfield pretty nicely there before the injury. So again, this game really is a battle of attrition, and I just hope there isn't any more injuries for Dortmund, because they really don't need to be playing under 18s. This kind of stuff is not really what you want to be doing when it's getting to the crux of the season and busy windows before Christmas. So it's interestingly poised, but I think I'm going to go with a Leipzig win. It pains me to say it, absolutely pains me to say it. I'm that close to saying it 2-2 draw, but I'm going 3-2 Leipzig. It may come as a shock because Leipzig don't concede many goals. They've been brilliant so far defensively, and I actually think the defense has been their standout component this year so far. I don't think their attack has really clicked. Even Simmons looks a little bit off kilter at times. And I would say Openda too. Sesko's been pretty good, but I think he requires a lot of opportunities to actually put the ball in the net at times. But this game's generally been a shootout. Again, looking at previous results between the two, and the last 7 games have had 3 or more goals. So I'm really going for a hospital shootout, as they say, on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Hope it's a different result. But my take on that one.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, no, looking forward to that one. That'll be a great game. And yeah, I am sure there are going to be plenty of goals. Justin submitting his victory, well, an RBL victory either way around, but maybe a slightly different scoreline depending on the keeper, because yeah, Van der Voort didn't have the best evening the other night, did he, for Leipzig? So we'll see about that. Right, on to Sunday then, 2 games. Another excellent starting side, very pleasantly as well, seeing SC Freiburg really thriving so far this season. The first season, obviously, without Christian Streich at the helm. They're hosting, Mainz, who are obviously on their travels. Certainly for me, this strikes as a fairly comfortable home win. Freiburg certainly in better fettle than Mainz, and from looking at the teams, if from what I'm reading, if Johnny Burkhardt and Hans Olsen aren't available for the 0-5ers, then that's 2 of their better players, let's be frankly honest, and that really handicaps them. So Ultan, what do you think to this one?
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth there. Spot on. I think Burkhardt is a massive, massive loss. I think Mainz have always struggled to score goals. Again, another team I don't like to mention. I remember being in Dortmund seasons ago on that fatal day. So, but
yes,
look, they've always been a fantastic club, fantastic team, and they've always given it their all. I think it's the same under Henriksen, so I'd expect no less. But they still look a little more leaky than previous seasons. I've been very impressed with Julian Schuster. Again, going back to my prediction table at the start of the year, which I'll check on come May, I actually didn't think Freiburg would click as well as they did. I thought they might struggle with kind of change. I mean, Streich is just, I love the man. I think he was a fantastic manager and just a great person too, even away from football, and can only commend that. And to lose a character like that who was such an attachment to the area after 12 years or 13 years of coaching there, it's massive. But credit to the former player, he's done brilliantly. And I think one of the big tricks there that he might have spotted is giving Grifo more game time. I'm sure you've watched Freiburg a lot over the years, but Strike always seemed to be happy to whip the Italian off early 60, 70 minutes, but a player of his quality, a player who knows the league so well, can just open every door in the book, no matter what team he plays against. And incredible to watch him get 80 or 90 minutes now most weeks, because it really made the difference. And of course, Doan, the Korean sensation, has been on fire as well. I mean, a goal against Leipzig last week, and he just looks such a lively player the last while. It's hard to see Mainz stopping them. I think they've also had trouble on the flanks too. I don't think Kachi or Movena have exactly shown the heights they've shown in previous years. So that's definitely a concern. And as you mentioned, Burkhardt and Haka Olsen is a massive loss too. I think he's probably their best defender. I could argue Core as well, but I think Core is a bit more rash, or potential to kind of, I don't know, maybe not keep his head in the game as often, kind of similar to Emre Can. But yeah, I'm backing a Freiburg 2-0 win here. I don't know. I think Bayern's hammering on last night for Mainz not going to give them any kind of confidence or favours here going into this game. And I just think Freiburg have enough in the tank to see them off. And they've looked really impressive lately. So I'll fully back the Braziers here.
Yeah, absolutely in agreement with you there. I would be happy to slot down 2-0 myself. So final game of the match week 9, we will have Borussia Mönchengladbach taking on Werder Bremen. Both sides with different fortunes midweek. As we already kind of described, Gladbach, not good enough to take advantage of a Frankfurt side down to 10 men, early on in the contest as well, and having equalised in the match really shocked me that they wouldn't go on to, not run through Frankfurt, but at least, get the game and get themselves into another round and get a bit more feel-good factor. There is probably not much of that going around, particularly Gerardo Soiane. But yeah, at home to Bremen, despite their win, Bremen look like they're missing maybe a few key players, the likes of Gruhl, Jens Steg and Stark possibly all missing. So that might be something worth considering. So yeah, just talk us through this last one, Ultan.
Yeah, another interesting game, a bit like all of the ones in the 3:30 kickoffs on Saturday. It's kind of evenly poised. It's hard to separate the two teams, but you're right, those injuries or potential injuries are massive, especially when Gruhl has kind of just looked like he's clicked there. It's been a summer transfer that's really just seemed to gel in the last while for Ole Werner, but that would be a massive loss, and the same for the other team as well. It's not great, but however, I do think Bremen have been brilliant on the road. I mean, 3 wins, a draw, and no losses so far this season. Pretty impressive with 12 goals too. I know 4 of them came against Wolfsburg after a red card, but even still, it just shows they're creating chances. And again, going on my kind of prediction table, I really fancy Bremen this year. I think they have a fantastic team. The likes of Romano Schmid, he's just come alive. He was brilliant in the Pokal, and I think since the Euros and Austria, something's just clicked with him. And even the last season, he was pretty good last year too. I think he's a real engine in midfield, and he's capable of creating either side of the ball. So I kind of back Bremen in this one. I don't know. The absence of Stöger for Gladbach is concerning to me. I don't really know what's going on there. You find a player of that quality who probably fit into pretty much any team outside the top 4, even potentially the top 4, depending on their injury statuses. And he just doesn't seem to be in there at the moment, the last few games, which hurt an awful lot of fantasy Bundesliga players after the wild card, me being one of them. It's hard to understand. I know Play is a pretty competent player too, and he looks like he's slotting into the 10 at the moment. But I really think Stoke is the key to their successes, and without him, struggle to see that kind of quality of set piece, quality of awareness, ability to pick out passes and drop in between the lines and find men in the forward line. Kleindienst has been pretty good too so far. It's been a great sign in that sense. But I don't know. I think any kind of big classic old school number 9 needs his delivery spot on. I'm not sure the likes of Hack and stuff have that in their game. They're more direct players that'll go for goal as opposed to maybe share the ball around a bit. I'm a big Bremen fan. I have a soft spot for them, and I think they're going to win 2-1. I'm just backing the away win here.
Yeah.
Just fancy them, and they've been great away from home so far. boys are in the advanced positions and brilliant. Byrne has been pretty good too, moving Galatasaray. Yeah, I just really like the look of them. I know those midfield injuries that you mentioned is definitely a concern, so I maybe could reel that back to a draw, but I'm going back to 2-1 win away from home.
Very good. Yeah. Well, kind of spelled out there for that game. Absolutely. I think the point about Sturger is, it's really interesting. His quality is clear, and I guess when you're a manager or a head coach under pressure, you just feel like you maybe have to do these things, and if they work, you look like a genius, and it gives you a bit more kind of leeway. But obviously, if it goes wrong and it keeps on going wrong, he'll be out of a job fairly soon. Would not be a surprise ultimately. Without Kleindienst's goals, I dread to think really where Gladbach would be in this table. Certainly a lot lower down. I'll lock in a draw though. I'll say 1-1, just because around those injuries perhaps. But yeah, I can't see Bremen losing on the road because they've been so impressive. Right, excellent stuff. We shall end it there then. That's your run through of match week 9 of the Bundesliga. So just closing comments from us as per usual. So do make sure you give a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up for Ultan's first appearance on Over the Bars Bundesliga show. Absolutely great debut there. Make sure you get yourself subscribed to make sure you don't miss out on any more of the action. You can find us on X as well, at Over the Bar FB, at Village Footy. You can find Bully News and all the gang on there as well at bullynews.com. And of course, we're on Insta as well. We try and post on there as regularly as we can in this modern age. At Over the Bar as well, you'll find us there. So all there is left to say is thank you everyone for watching. Thank you Justin and Ballon for your interactions. Thank you very much Ultan for helping myself out this evening. It's been great fun, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for fantasy football. We're back in the usual slot, myself and Runa, so look forward to that. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks all.